Join me as we journey deep into the heart of ancient Egypt. Together, we'll uncover secrets carved in stone, mysteries only the ancients could leave behind. If you enjoy this kind of exploration, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support keeps this content alive and fuels the creation of future episodes. What sets the Great Pyramid of Giza apart from the other majestic pyramids of the 4th dynasty isn't just its colossal size or remarkable precision. It's the many enigmas hidden within, features so curious that even the most extensive literature barely scratches the surface. One of the most compelling tales is how the Great Pyramid was looted, and the knowledge and effort it took to breach its inner chambers. It's a story far too complex for a single video, so today, we'll focus on just one fascinating piece, a mysterious gap in its defensive structure. The entrance. If you're familiar with the internal structure of the Great Pyramid, you'll know that the main entrance leads to a descending passageway. This passage is intersected by an ascending corridor, which ultimately leads to the king's chamber. At the junction of these corridors, 3 massive granite blocks were used to seal the ascending passage, a feat of engineering both in size and precision. But the mystery begins where the granite blocks stop, leaving an exposed intersection. Was there once a cleverly hidden ceiling block disguising this entry point? And if so, how effective could such camouflage have truly been? Mainstream Egyptologists often assume there was such a block, believing secrecy was standard practice in pyramid design. But I'm not convinced. It's hard to believe the Old Kingdom Egyptians, who organized tens of thousands of workers to build this monument, tried to hide it with stealth. The prism stone. Let's examine the hypothetical ceiling block, something I refer to as the prism stone. This block, likely trapezoidal in shape with sharply defined angles, would have measured about 120 centimeters high, 100 centimeters wide, and roughly 65 centimeters deep, easily weighing over 2 tons. Installing a block of that size within the tight confines of the corridor would have been a daunting task. Supporting it would require precision-cut notches. And while there are indeed notches on either side of the junction, they present more questions than answers. The notches. These notches, located just beyond the granite plugs, appear to suggest some form of support. But there's a problem. They're extremely shallow, only about 5 centimeters deep and identical in size, which is unusual. Compare this to the Grand Gallery nearby, where large, deep notches were used to support beams for a false floor, allowing the granite plugs to slide into place. Those notches range from 21 to 40 centimeters in depth, and one side is always deeper to allow beams to be angled into position. The notches near the prism stone location, in contrast, are far too shallow to support a 2-ton block securely. At best, they could hold a few centimeters of weight, making the entire idea of suspending a heavy stone here both risky and impractical. Mortar and plaster. Even if the prism stone had been placed there, it wouldn't have fit seamlessly. Significant gaps would remain around its edges, requiring mortar and plaster to fill in the joints, unlike the surrounding corridor stones, which fit together perfectly. This would make for poor camouflage. And if mortar and plaster were required anyway, wouldn't it have been easier to just seal the space with those materials directly, rather than suspending a massive limestone block? Interestingly, no trace of mortar or plaster remains, not on the granite plugs, not within the notches, and not on the surrounding walls. A proper forensic examination could tell us more, but until Egyptology fully embraces the forensic study of pyramid construction, these clues will remain untested. The bigger picture, the most logical conclusion? There was never a prism stone. The granite plugs were likely always visible, left unhidden, indicating the builders didn't rely on secrecy to protect the tomb. This leads to one of the greatest puzzles of all. Why do Greek and Roman accounts of the pyramid never mention the upper chambers or the Grand Gallery? Historical context. Many historians believe the upper chambers were first discovered in 832 AD by Al-Mamun, whose team created the Nauf Amos robbers' tunnel. So why didn't earlier civilizations mention them? The answer may lie in the restoration efforts of Egypt's 26th dynasty, beginning in 664 BC. During this period, significant repairs were carried out on the Giza pyramids, including the possible reconcealment of internal passages. A wooden coffin found in Menkaur's pyramid dates to this era, suggesting heavy activity. It's entirely plausible that late-period Egyptians blocked off Al-Mamun's future tunnel and disguised the junction of the ascending corridor. This aligns with a cultural shift. secrecy and camouflage became common burial practices starting in the Middle Kingdom. By this time, the Great Pyramid had already been opened for centuries, filled with rubble, moisture damage, and likely overrun by bats. These natural conditions combined with intentional sealing may have effectively hidden the upper corridors from view. Herodotus, writing shortly after these restorations, could have easily missed what lay beyond the descending passage, just like others of his era. A fallacy in thinking. Late-period Egyptians likely believed the Old Kingdom pyramids used the same stealth tactics they themselves practiced. This misunderstanding, a classic case of the historian's fallacy, also affects modern Egyptologists, who assume that every tomb was built to be hidden. But if the builders wanted to camouflage the ascending corridor, they could have done so easily by making the lowest plug stone flush with the corridor ceiling. Architect Gilles Dormian touches on this theory in his 2004 book The Chambre of Cheops. And what of the 5 cm notches? Their likely purpose was far more practical. They were probably used to secure a ladder, temporary scaffolding, to reach the ascending passage before the final sealing process. These notches could easily support human weight or lightweight grave goods, making far more sense than suspending a 2-ton block. Final thoughts? Rather than rely on secrecy, the builders of the Great Pyramid placed their trust in something more formidable: solid granite. And given the pyramid's size, visibility, and the thousands involved in its creation, hiding its internal design would have been nearly impossible. It's no surprise that the Great Pyramid became the wonder of the ancient world, and remains a source of awe and speculation even today. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And most importantly, share this journey with someone curious, because history is always better when uncovered together.